It rises higher than every skyscraper in London. It stands taller than anything in Paris. A structure so vast it would overshadow the entire Marina Bay skyline in Singapore. And it's not being built in a global financial hub or a major industrial power. It's rising in Tajikistan, the poorest country in Central Asia, a nation determined to construct the tallest dam the world has ever seen. At 335 meters, the Rogun Dam will climb higher than some of the world's tallest towers, harnessing enough energy to match the output of 3 nuclear reactors. For Tajikistan, this project promises energy independence, economic stability, and a chance to lift millions out of poverty. But for the wider region, it represents something far more complex, a shift in water, power, and geopolitical balance that will echo across Central Asia. This is the world's tallest dam, a megaproject built on ambition, conflict, and decades of determination. Please take a moment to subscribe and like the video. It really helps the channel. The idea of a massive dam in this remote valley didn't begin with Tajikistan. It began in the Soviet Union. Rogun was first conceived in 1976, during a period when the USSR aimed to reshape entire landscapes through extreme infrastructure. This was the era of mega canals carved through forests, new industrial cities emerging in the Urals, and enormous hydroelectric dams rising across Siberia. Projects like the Bratsk Dam set the standard. Bratsk stood at 125 meters, but its reservoir sprawled across 5,400 square kilometers, almost the size of a small country. At its peak, 40,000 workers pushed through winters as cold as -40 degrees Celsius to build it. The project relocated 30,000 people, and it introduced new techniques that became the backbone of Soviet dam engineering. Rogun was meant to push those boundaries even further, challenging engineers to build a structure taller, stronger, and more complex than anything attempted before. Before Rogun, Tajikistan built another monster. Completed in 1979, the Nurek Dam rose 300 meters, making it the tallest dam on Earth for over 4 decades. It delivered almost 90% of the country's electricity, powering homes, factories, and entire cities. But Nurek also came at a cost. Tens of thousands were relocated, and the project contributed indirectly to the environmental collapse of the Aral Sea by altering river systems downstream. Still, Nurek proved something crucial. Tajikistan's mountainous landscape could host some of the most ambitious hydro projects the world had ever seen. And that success set the stage for Rogun, a dam the Soviets believed could eclipse every structure before it. Rogun wasn't designed as just another power source. It was built with an entire regional vision in mind. The Vakhsh River, powerful and unpredictable, flows through the heart of Tajikistan before feeding the Amu Darya, one of Central Asia's most important waterways. By controlling it, engineers envisioned a system that could prevent devastating floods, expand irrigation networks, and stabilize water supplies for Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan. The dam would also plug into a vast Central Asian energy grid, sending electricity to Kazakhstan in the north and even Afghanistan in the south. But this kind of influence made neighbors nervous. Uzbekistan, deep into cotton production and heavily reliant on river flow, warned that Rogun could threaten its water security. From the very beginning, Rogun carried both promise and controversy. Then, history tore the project apart. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Tajikistan fell into civil war. Engineers fled. Machines were stripped for scrap. Tunnels flooded. The entire site descended into chaos. By 1992, construction was dead. What was meant to be a monument of Soviet engineering became a ruin, a reminder of a broken empire and a country struggling to survive. The consequences were immediate. Tajikistan relied on hydro for more than 90% of its electricity. In winter, when rivers froze, blackouts swept across the country. Entire communities spent hours each day without power. Tajikistan was forced to import energy from Uzbekistan and Russia, leaving its grid vulnerable to politics and supply cuts. By the early 2000s, the government tried reviving Rogun. Russian firm Rusal explored taking on the project, But disagreements and soaring costs halted progress. It wasn't until 2016 that Italian engineering giant Salini Impregilo, now known as Webuild, was brought in to restart construction. After decades of stalled attempts, Rogun finally had a chance to rise again. But restarting Rogun exposed a challenge the Soviets knew well. This entire region sits in a dangerous seismic zone. Earthquakes here can reach magnitude 7 or 8, powerful enough to tear apart rigid concrete structures. Engineers had to rethink everything. Instead of a concrete gravity dam, Rogun was designed as a rockfill embankment with a central clay core, a flexible structure that can bend and absorb seismic shock. Deep foundation layers were reinforced to prevent the ground from liquefying during earthquakes. Emergency spillways and high-capacity overflow tunnels were integrated into the mountainsides, designed to handle extreme flood events. This wasn't just the tallest dam ever attempted. It was one of the most structurally demanding hydro projects on the planet. Before the real construction could begin, engineers had to divert the Vakhsh River, a torrent that cuts through the mountains with enormous force. They blasted and carved 4 massive diversion tunnels, each stretching up to 1.5 kilometers long and measuring 11 to 15 meters in diameter. These tunnels redirected the entire river around the construction zone. In October 2016, Tajikistan announced the successful diversion of the Vakhsh. For the first time in decades, the river was under control, clearing the way for the foundations of the world's tallest dam. Construction moved quickly once the river was diverted. Engineers built a starter dam, about 75 to 100 meters high, to hold back water and allow work on the main structure. This phase opened the door for early power generation. The first turbine went online in 2018, followed by a second in 2019, bringing much-needed electricity to the national grid and reducing winter blackouts. By August 2025, Rogun reached a new milestone. The structure rose to 1,110 meters above sea level, placing it on track to reach its final crest height of 1,300 meters. Full completion is planned for 2029, but fully filling the enormous reservoir could take until 2036, depending on water flow. A dam this tall doesn't just reshape a valley, it reshapes an entire mountain system. But this kind of ambition comes at a staggering price. Rogun's final cost is expected to reach $6.2 to $6.4 billion, a colossal burden for a nation with a small GDP. To keep construction moving, Tajikistan launched a national share-buying campaign, encouraging citizens to invest directly in the dam. It was a bold and controversial move, one that reflected the weight of expectation the government placed on Rogun's success. Behind the engineering triumph lies a human story. Building the reservoir will displace more than 46,000 people across 69 villages. By 2024, over 15,000 residents had already been moved. Many faced the loss of farmland, limited job opportunities, and shortages of essential services in new settlements. The dam has also strained diplomatic ties, especially with Uzbekistan. For decades, water security has fueled disagreements between the two nations. Rogun sits at the center of those tensions, holding the power to regulate a river critical to Uzbek agriculture. Rogun is not unique in raising regional concerns. Ethiopia's Grand Renaissance Dam sparked years of political friction with Egypt over control of the Nile. The same patterns appear in Central Asia. Rivers cross borders, and upstream decisions affect millions downstream. Handled carefully, Rogun could become a source of cooperation, providing clean power for countries across the region and reducing reliance on fossil fuels. But if mishandled, it could amplify old disputes and turn water into a political weapon. After nearly half a century of planning, collapse, and revival, Rogun stands at a point of no return. When finished, it will redefine Tajikistan's economy, supercharge its energy exports, and alter the geography of an entire valley. But it will also reshape ecosystems, affect water rights, and permanently shift power dynamics across Central Asia. Some megaprojects can be paused, some can be reversed, but a dam of this scale, once built, transforms everything around it forever. The world's tallest dam is more than an engineering achievement. It's a turning point, and the consequences, good or bad, will be felt for generations.